Welcome to the GCSE English Language Guide to using language to inform and explain for question 5, paper 2. When writing to explain or inform, your aim is to convey information to the reader as clearly and effectively as possible. You'll need to adapt your language to match your audience, e.g. different age groups, different levels of understanding and different formats, for example, a newspaper reader or magazine reader, leaflet readers, etc. will all influence the style and type of language that you need to use. You'll also need to write in a balanced and factual way, and you need to avoid being too opinionated. Writing to explain means helping your readers to understand something. So you need to assume your readers do not understand anything about the subject. You need to decide on the main points you want to make and explain each point with examples and facts. You will need to adapt your language according to your audience. For example, is the audience students or are they adult readers of a newspaper? You will also need to explain what any technical terms or jargon that you use mean. You need to avoid being vague. It's okay to use I, but try not to use it too much, as this will make your writing sound too opinionated or unconvincing. You can also use direct address with the pronoun you or your and rhetorical questions to engage your reader. For example, this is too vague. Get a plant and grow it. Instead, you'd need to explain what you mean so it's clear to your reader. For example, buy some seeds from a garden centre. Dig a small hole and put the seeds in the hole. Water the area regularly. There the reader has much more information and then explains the process of how they go about getting a plant and how they go about growing it. And here's an example of technical language or jargon and why technical terms need to be explained. The serve and volley game of Murray dominated Federer's ground strokes. The underlying words are technical terms or jargon that would be understood by tennis fans. However, people who aren't tennis fans may not understand these terms, so you'd have to explain what they mean. And here's an example of being too vague. If you're too vague, it might seem like you don't know what you're talking about. For example, there are different types of singer. Some singers sound really squeaky when they sing and some singers don't. In the example above, the student has expressed themselves in a very obvious and basic way. A much better approach would have been to clearly refer to specific singers and different types of singing voices. That way, not only will the reader receive the information more clearly, the student will also be able to express themselves in a way that shows that they do know what they're talking about. Here's another example of being too vague. I have spoken to many people and many of them are concerned about graffiti. In this example, the word many is far too vague. A better approach would have been to be more specific and explain how many people they are referring to and who exactly these people are. So here's an example of writing to inform explain. It's taken from an example of a piece of travel writing. In particular, I'm going to draw your attention to the paragraph here just after the strapline, the opening paragraph. At some point or other, we've all been faced with a travel snob. That particular breed of rough and tumble traveller who knows all about where to go, what to see, and most importantly, how to see it. The travel snob thinks that guided tours are for the uncultured bores of this planet. The travel snob believes in travel without a destination. And yet, the travel snob will always find time to tell you about a hidden gem that only they can take you to. Now, in the first line of this paragraph, the student says that this article is going to be about a travel snob. Now, they then spend the rest of that paragraph making it very, very clear, explaining clearly to the reader what a travel snob is. That's a very, very good example of writing to inform and explain. They use several examples to make it very clear to the reader what a travel snob is.